Hello, this is Rob Hirschfeld, and in this video we're going to go through using Crowbar to do an OpenStack Essex deployment. This configuration is a little different than ones we've used in the past, and it's designed specifically to allow you to have virtual machines inside of the Essex virtual machines that connect to the internet. So we really want to go full spectrum, right? There's going to be videos after this that show you how to take deployment tools like in Stratus and Chef and deploy the VMs. But to do that, we have to give you a configuration that allows you to get your system fully connected. And because we're using VMware workstation for this, I have to do it with multiple NICs. So the production OpenStack Essex deployment, any OpenStack deployment is going to use multiple virtual networks or VLANs to segment your networking traffic. And that's default configuration for OpenStack. We actually have to modify the default configuration here because we don't have the VLANing capabilities that I would like. But we're going to simulate it by using multiple virtual networks, overlooking the fact that those are actually VLANs in VMware workstation. So what I've done here is I've created 4 NICs. They are all host only networks with DHCP turned off. The first one is the Crowbar admin network, which we've always used in the past for all the videos, 192.168.124.0, right? And then the host only network number 2 is going to be 123. Host 3 is 122. It's logical decreasing naming here. And my host-only network 4 here is going to be 125. These are going to align with defaults that Crowbar uses. So highly recommend you following this convention, but I'll show you how to change it if you don't want to. You'll notice I'm using my NAT network. This is what I used for my builder with 120. So if you've seen the other videos where we built the Crowbar ISOs, I was using that network. It's all the same system. It's useful to understand that and that all those pieces work together. So that is my network configuration. The VM that I'm starting from has 2 gigs of RAM, 4 processors, a 20 gig hard drive. Those are not quite defaults, but these are the minimum you should consider for Crowbar. And then the 4 networks that I showed, and then I really don't need any of these other pieces. I'm leaving them in there. The key thing I'm going to do is use my Crowbar build. So this is a Crowbar build I did recently from the open source repositories. I have a video showing how to do that. That's actually the output from my earlier video. I've attached it. I'm going to take this machine and boot it. And so we're just in boot mode. We're going to go through and let Crowbar install until it gets all the way to a login prompt. So now we're at the login prompt for Crowbar server. And what I want to do is log in, right? I want to be a super user. And normally what I do is I jump right into installing Crowbar. However, with the 4 NIC configuration, I need to change that a little bit. What I want to do is I'm going to connect a ISO I built that has 1 file in it. I will show you that in just a second. So now that I've logged in, what I want to do is modify my network JSON before I complete my install. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'll walk you through the steps, but in this case what I'm doing is I am attaching an ISO that I've already created that contains this 1 file, the network JSON file, potentially infamous network JSON file. So let me mount that. I have to make a directory. I'm already root, so I'm good for that. And then mount it. Good, so I'm set. And I want to go to opt bar clamps. So I need the bar clamps directory. Here we go. I need to go into the network bar clamp and the chef components. So in here, what we've got is a set of data bags. So let me jump into that data bag. This data bag in here in this path, bar clamps network chef data bags Crowbar, is the network layout that Crowbar will implement. A lot of things can be changed in this file, but not the VLANing and the network configurations, not yet. So what I need to do is make some modifications here. So the simplest thing to do is I'm going to move this file out of the way. I'm just going to call it network old so I can keep it. Sorry, I have to tell it where to go. Sorry for everybody watching me mistype this stuff and knowing that I'm doing it wrong before I hit enter. All right, so there we go. That is now moved, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the one off of my CD-ROM. So that's the new one. I'm just going to copy it locally, and then I'm going to edit it so that you can see what's going on here. So, DOSized. That should be okay for what we're doing. But what we've done here is this is a modified version of the network JSON file. All this I haven't changed. There's a whole bunch of hardware mappings for interface order. You can add and extend them. They just help us control which interfaces get identified as which 1 gig interfaces, and that helps map them. In this case, here's the conduits. Conduits set up our network maps. So here, we're in single mode. The interface list says interface 0, the first Ethernet, is going to go to the 1G1 network. This is all pretty straightforward. Interface 1 goes to 1G2. So in this case, we're taking into account that we're going to have multiple NICs, and each NIC is going to get mapped into the appropriate interfaces, right? So we want to make sure that our conduit map pattern matches our physical configuration. So for NICs, for interfaces mapped 1G1, 1G2, 1G3, 1G4. That is consistent. We're not using teaming modes or dual modes for this, so I didn't change those. And then this is the wildcard at the end. Okay, so now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So for our networks, we have identified our interface 3 conduit is not VLAN, so interface 3, VLAN false. This is that 125 network that you identified. So our 4th network adapter will be on interface 3, and it will be our storage network using the 125 address. Remember, this aligns with what we showed before. I'm going to post this network JSON file on the wiki with the video so that you can copy and paste this into your system also. I want to review it so you see what's going on. The public is going to be on interface, the interfaces are changing because I'm turning off VLANing. Normally they'd be on interface 1, but because we don't have VLANing, we have to spread out these different networks. This is the 122 network. Okay, remember that aligned with interface 2. I have Nova fixed, which is going to be on the interface 1 network. Traditionally it's on VLAN 500, but no VLAN. And then over here, our BMC network is not VLAN. We don't have BMCs anyway on the virtual machine. And our admin network is interface 0, which this isn't changed. This is the way things have been before. Once again, VLANing is off for this. And that is the end of the network file. So the summary here is that I haven't made any changes. The summary here is that we have 4 networks. We've turned off VLANing, and then we've distributed the different conduits that are normally in the network JSON file onto these 4 different networks and turned off the VLANs. And that will allow us to deploy all the networks that Nova needs to actually do a correct virtualized deployment. So now that I've made that change, I can jump over, just go to home, and then I'm going to go into the normal path for installing. Right, this is Ubuntu. If it was Red, CentOS, or RHEL, I'd use RHEL instead of Ubuntu. No, we're only doing Essex in, if you're watching this for Essex, we're only doing Essex in Ubuntu 12.04 right now. Extras. Okay, so now I can do the install. I like to call my admin server admin.crowbar.com. And one of the changes that you'll notice right away is that we now don't take over the screen, so you can keep using the machine during the install. However, I still like to watch it. And the installer gives you a hint that something's going on. And now this is the normal install screen. Okay, so when this finishes, we'll bump out a screen, the screen view, but it's happily happening in the background and doing all the things that it needs to get done. We'll come back when it's done. So our install is completed. I'm going to take a quick shutdown step because I want to snapshot my virtual machine so I can return here quickly if I need to. Very simple precaution. If you're messing with your network file, I actually recommend that you do your snapshot even earlier. Before you change the network config, and that would let you jump back without doing a full Crowbar reinstall. That wasn't very useful. Okay, I usually try not to take my snapshots when the machine is up. This one. Now I take my snapshots when power's off because it saves disk space up because I'm not capturing the RAM. I'm sure somebody's saying right now, no, it doesn't. You don't have to worry about that. That's what I've always done. Been doing VMs for a long time. So maybe I'm wrong. Got it. So at this point, I'm going to reboot the machines. I don't need this network disk anymore. I'm going to disconnect that. Reboot. Coming on. With this, it's going to take a second to come up. In the meantime, let me pull up my web browser. So let me pull up my web browser here. I just logged in. So normally it's going to ask me for credentials. Make this screen a little bigger. So this is my one admin group. This is the machine that's up. Things are good. Here's my OpenStack bar clamps. Everything's happy. I have other videos touring new features, so I'm not going to chase those just yet. But what I do want to do is I want to bring up my other nodes. So I have 3 nodes ready to go. These guys don't have enough RAM. So they need to be 2 gigs of RAM because I'm going to be using them for virtual hosts. Some of them I've added 2 disks to because that helps me make them Swift nodes if I want. And then they are also on the same 4 networks. This is the key configuration. They're on the same 4 networks. So let me check these other machines. If I don't boost the RAM here, when they become compute nodes, I won't have enough RAM to actually run virtual machines. So I'm boosting my RAM up a bit. Now this my laptop has a lot of RAM, so I can do that. And I highly recommend if you are going to do this type of development on a regular basis that you invest in an SSD. For speed, it makes a huge difference, and then a lot of RAM. Let's see. So I've gotten this to a point where it's ready. I have Crowbar UI server right here, ready to go, and we're going to go through our normal discovery process. So hopefully you've seen other Crowbar videos before. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to boot these nodes. They're going to go through, Crowbar has a DHCP server, so it's going to go through, capture the DHCP boot of this node, and install a discovery image that we call Sledgehammer. That discovery image runs CentOS 6.2, and in the Dell version will provide BIOS and RAID configurations. In the open source version does IPMI, system inventory, IPMI and VMC configuration, and then inventories of the system. It's going to take a little bit to load. Once it loads, those nodes will come up. I'm booting all 3 of them. Those nodes will come up and show on the dashboard, at which point I'll take my next steps. I'll come back when they're visible. So at this point, what's going on is that the machines are being discovered. They're going to be discovered with this H first, and then as they come a little bit further along, they'll switch into Ds. So I'm going to wait until those yellow flashing lights show up. I want to show you the intermediate state so it doesn't confuse you. So I've gotten to a point where all the machines are in this allocated waiting state, and I'm going to come into bulk edit, here, and I'm going to let them all allocate. I'm going to use the new alias feature here, and I'm going to define some of my nodes. I will call this one node 1, a very creative name, node 2, and node 3 here. And this one will be the controller, and this one I'll make compute 1 and compute 2. There's another way to do this, and I'll show that as part of a different demo, but I'm going to do it this way because it's a very fast way to get all the resources staged and ready. At this point, what we're doing in Crowbar is the nodes are going to jump out of this waiting for instruction state, this hold state, and they're going to start building the base operating system, in this case Ubuntu 12.04. I'm doing it this way because it's a really fast way to do it. There's some incredibly cool ways to show how we do late binding with Crowbar, and those are a different demo where I really highlight how Crowbar operates. For now, I'm just going to kick all the nodes over to getting the base operating system installed. At this point in the development, we're installing the operating system. You'll notice we've gone from flashing yellow to yellow, and now to this spinning icon. That just means that the system now has the Chef client involved, and we're prepping the system for deployment. We're almost at the ready state. This updates automatically. So we've gotten to the state where all of our nodes are ready. If I check over to the VMware infrastructure that I've built, I just have the nodes in normal state. I can log into them. All that looks good. Ready state here means not only that the operating systems have deployed on the nodes, but it also means that the Crowbar bar clamps that are in the system have all been deployed. Test one doesn't, but so we've built up the full infrastructure with all the components. One of the new features is that our aliases are also registered in the DNS, so I can show you what that looks like really fast here. So I can ping node 1 and just see it's actually giving me the right name of the address. Handy feature if you're doing certain types of work. So the other new feature to show here is I can build up my OpenStack, can add a group for OpenStack, and I can drag these nodes into OpenStack. Sometimes. So one of the new features is that we can create groups. So let me show you the group adding. So here I've added a group for OpenStack. I can drag the node into the OpenStack group, and now I know that I'm going to deploy these nodes for OpenStack. Cool. All right, so the next step is just to build up the OpenStack deployment. Once again, this is the fast version. We have Crowbar demos that show actually late binding where the systems are deployed only once we've gotten this deployment going. I'm just going to take defaults here. So here's the MySQL server. I didn't want node 1. I'm going to switch and put everything on node 1, which is going to be my controller. I want to apply that proposal. Go. If you want to learn how to use Crowbar, I do have some This is Crowbar videos that really explain what these screens are doing and what proposals are and how proposals operate. The process I just showed you, we're going to repeat for all the other OpenStack bar clamps. We don't have to wait for it to complete. We can just go down the list. The bar clamps are aware of each other, so it actually uses the MySQL proposal that we created. It's going to use Crowbar as the password for the Crowbar and admin accounts. I'm moving everything to node 1. Pretty straightforward. And I'm going to repeat this process for all the components that I want to bring together for a Nova deployment. You can repeat these for Swift. My focus here is to take you all the way through a Nova deployment. Since I'm already at 20 minutes, I know that my goal here is to take you through a Nova deployment. Since I've already gone more than 15 minutes, and I don't want to drag it out by showing you extra stuff. We have lots of videos that show different capabilities. I'm going to accept defaults here. Once again, changing node 3 to node 1. logic for choosing nodes is pretty dumb at this point. It will pick them based on just a serialization order. If you don't change them around, they'll be consistent. I'm changing them because I chose my aliasing names suboptimally, requiring me to change it. I'd gone back and named them after the fact, then I could have fixed that. So we've been moving through all the pieces. Good. Oops. One. So I'm going to skip quantum for this demo. I'm just doing the core things I need for Nova. Key change I need to make in Nova is to switch the hypervisor to use QEMU because I'm using virtualized systems. Everything else, all the other defaults are fine with some tweaks here. So I want my controller to be on node 1, my compute to be on node 2 and 3. This is where the extra RAM comes in handy. I can apply here and go. And at this point, we're going to have completed all of the components. Notice that Nova's holding. The proposal is holding until the dashboard finishes. So all these things are going to come in sequence. Crowbar is smart enough to know how to stage the dependencies between bar clamps so that they come in the right sequence. And they make sure you wait until the different prereqs are set up. So I'm going to let this get set up and stabilize, and then I'm going to launch dashboard. And at that point, I'm going to stop the demo. And we'll have a whole other demo for showing how Essex dashboard works and how to launch VMs and create systems using that. So at this point, all my lights are green on my OpenStack components. And so that's looking pretty good. What I want to do is come back over to my nodes view. Node 1 is my controller. I can actually edit that and make it obvious. Well, it says controller, so I'm not going to edit that. So over here on the dashboard, we've got all our pieces. Node 1 is my controller. And what you'll notice here is we have a list of interesting links because the dashboard's installed here. We have our Nova dashboard. It opens it up in a new tab. At this point, it's branded Ubuntu because we're using Ubuntu's distribution. And if I log in with the admin and Crowbar is my password, remember in the proposal, that's what we'd set it. And now I have access to the OpenStack dashboard, and I can do administrative tasks on the system. I can also sign out. If I come in as Crowbar, then that's going to create a user account with more limited, I don't have the admin pieces here. At this point, I've taken you through using Crowbar to do a OpenStack Essex deployment, start to finish. And you can use our ISO build to do that and get rolling. We'll have a follow-up video that shows you how to actually use OpenStack Essex. That in itself is a worthy topic of a dedicated video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Also, if you are curious about Crowbar and how Crowbar is doing some of these things and some of the features and capabilities like late binding and discovery and our network capabilities, I'll have a separate video that sort of digs through Crowbar and shows our discovery process, provisioning, and allocation in a lot more detail. Because that also takes some time to explain. Hope you enjoyed it, and good luck using Crowbar and Essex.